We are nearing the end of our series. We have 2 more to go, this one and 1 more. And I want to get as practical as I can. And in this one, I want to talk about how we respond to the providence of God in our lives. And one kind of response is a kind of a breaking, humbling, and the other is an emboldening and empowering. So let me just look at 2 texts with you to show what I mean. Luke 13, 1-5. Somebody has come to Jesus with a report about a calamity. In fact, 2. There were some present at that very time who told him about the Galileans whose blood Pilate had mingled with their sacrifices. So they came in and reported to Jesus, have you heard, Jesus, about this atrocity that Pilate committed? And he answered them, do you think that these Galileans were worse sinners than all the other Galileans because they suffered in this way? No, I tell you, but unless you repent, you will all likewise perish. Or those 18 on whom the tower in Siloam fell and killed them, do you think they were worse offenders than all the others who lived in Jerusalem? No, I tell you, but unless you repent, you will all likewise perish. Now, one of those disasters was man-made. Pilate, in his cruelty, slaughtered worshipers. And number 2, apparently an accident. People milling around, working maybe, and this tower falls and 18 people are killed. And Jesus, hearing them ask, okay, Jesus, tell us what does this mean? And they have some assumptions, and Jesus seems to have very different assumptions. He does not assume at all, he says it explicitly, I'm not assuming that the people who were slaughtered and who were under the tower were worse sinners than anybody else around them. That's not what's going on. And so we shouldn't default to, a judgment has just happened to pinpoint these people and not those people when there's some calamity. Jesus is not going to go there. 3rd observation. Nobody is innocent here. It's not like you're innocent and you get a pass and they're not. He says, unless you repent, you will all likewise perish. He's assuming the whole human race is guilty, right? The questioner, these people are out of nowhere. Jesus, have you heard? And he says, you repent. He's assuming they're all guilty. The whole human race deserved to be under the tower. And then he gets real specific. Jesus doesn't deal in generalities and theories. You repent. You repent. So when I get a phone call from NPR, like I did back in, 2005, when the tsunami killed 230,000 people, and they wanted to get an evangelical perspective on this calamity, and I spoke 45 minutes with them. This was my default text. To be sure, when you hear of a calamity, whether personal or sweeping, our first response is weep with those who weep. You walk into a hospital room like I have so many times, here's a living person and a dead person. A wife is alive, a husband is dead. A mom is alive, a child is dead. So many. I remember Rollin, totally unexpected, his 25-year-old son died in surgery. And I got there, and I just took him, held him as tight as I could, and just heaved with sobs. This was not the moment for teaching. I had taught Roland for years. He knew what I believed. We both knew what was going on here under the providence of God. He knew what I would say at the funeral. This is the moment for weeping. But when the weeping is over, people want answers. And I just want to say that if you're in the position of being brought, hey, what about this? What about the Tower of Siloam? What about this disaster in the temple? Don't try to bring your view of God as closely into alignment with the unbelieving view of God. So many people do this. They just say everything the world expects to be said about God, which does them no good whatsoever. Jesus didn't respond that way, in a totally unsentimental way. And I said this to the woman on the phone. I said, you know, the message of the tsunami, whatever else it means, the message of the tsunami, ma'am, I called her by name, is that you should repent. You, right now, on the phone, you should repent. Nobody's expecting that. We should tell the whole world to repent when there's a calamity. So the first lesson is the providence of God is humbling. It makes us know we need to repent. Now here's a counterpoint. The providence of God over all things also means we should be as bold as a lion. Matthew chapter 10, verses 26 to 31. Listen for the three statements. Do not fear. Verse 26. Have no fear of them, for nothing is covered that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be known. What I tell you in the dark, say in the light. What you hear whispered, proclaim on the housetops, fearlessly. Do not fear those who kill the body, but after that cannot kill the soul. Rather, fear him who can destroy soul and body in hell. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? And not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. Even the hairs of your head are all numbered. Fear not, therefore. You are of more value than many sparrows. So 3 times, fear not, fear not, fear not. That's the main point of the passage, right? And there's a group of arguments, and right at the center is this one. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny, and not one of them falls to the ground apart from your Father? So right now, as I'm talking to you, I would guess, I have no idea what the number is, but I would guess within this hour, thousands of birds in Africa and Asia and South America, North America, and Australia, thousands of birds are going to die and just fall over in the forest and decay. And Jesus says, not one of them will fall apart from God's attention and providence. And then he says, you are more valuable than many sparrows. And then he adds this, lest we miss the point. The hairs of your head are all numbered. Now, what's the point of telling me not to be afraid because of all the millions of birds who die? Not one of them dies apart from your Father, and I'm more valuable than the birds. The point is, I'm all over you. I'm all over you with my providence. I am so all over you with my encasing, loving, caring, guiding, protecting, leading providence that every little hair on your head, I know its number. I count them. That's how close I am to you. I mean, this is meticulous providence to say all the birds fall to the ground according to our Father. If all the birds fall to the ground according to my Father's plan and will and knowledge, then I'm safe. All the details of my life are attended to, cared for, guided under the providence of God. So 2 effects. One is humbling and one is emboldening. Unless you repent, John Piper, you will perish. And you, John Piper, have a Father in heaven who rules the world so meticulously that his close attention to you means nothing can happen to you apart from his goodwill.